Hello and welcome to the M&A Vault chat with Nick Pili. We're here to talk about mergers and acquisitions for the small and medium-sized enterprise on businessesforsale.com. And I'm here with Nick, who effectively manages that for Businesses for Sale. And we really want to talk today about the business owner and the process the business owner goes through when deciding to sell a business. And often that can be for retirement reasons. It could be ill health. It could be a succession issue. Sometimes it can be a serial entrepreneur that's built up the business and decides to sell it. And how we work with the mergers and acquisitions vault is a seller, a business owner will come to us looking to sell the business, and we will put them in touch with an intermediary, a business broker, and work with all the parties together to get the business sold. Nick, have I got the process right? Is that how it works with the M&A Vault on businessesforsale.com?
Good morning, Marcus. Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. We get contacted by sellers all the time saying, look, we're now ready to sell our business for whatever reason, as you said. And a lot of people, especially, that phraseology over here, baby boomers, they've been, working their business for 20, 30 years, and they now feel it's time to pass the torch and the baton on to somebody else. So, what we typically do is we would obviously have conversations with that seller and, start to gather high-level financial information, years established, number of employees, and really sort of ascertain, is it the right time for that particular seller to sell? Can they maximize their value at this particular time? Which broker within our network or which intermediary within our network would be best suited then to sit down with that broker to obviously further assist them to take that forward? But yeah, that's typically how the process works from our side.
From my sort of experience working with businessesforsale.com over a long period of time, one of the big frustrations, and it's quite understandable, is that business owners are busy running and growing their business, often very successfully, which is why they end up on Businesses for Sale looking to realize their wealth. But they're not really clued in on what we call the pre-due diligence process, or actually getting the business ready for sale. It's one thing to be an entrepreneur running your business. It's another thing preparing a business for sale. And that's often overlooked by a lot of business owners, isn't it?
No, it is 100%. And I think the best time to sell a business, from a business owner, is to start thinking about that selling process, at least sort of 2 years prior to that taking place. So
do you really think it's as long as 2 years? As long as 2-year process? In other words, if you're thinking you want to sell your business now, you've got to really start prepping now to sell it in 2026 or 27.
So most of the businesses that we deal with, are under that sort of 5 or 10 million sort of range. Really, it's sort of that mar and par type enterprise that sort of comes through to us. And really the misconception that the big thing that really needs to take place out of the gate is to understand what that valuation can be. And we have a great tool on businessesforsale.com called ValueRight, which users can go to and within 5 minutes get a fair market valuation for the business. And really that's the starting point for everything. And I think a lot of business sellers have misconceptions about their particular business and obviously what that value is and what they can include in that valuation. And I think that's really the first step that needs to take place. Once you obviously have that valuation in place, and the model that we use most of the time is what they call the seller discretionary earnings multiple, or the SDEM, as it's often known as. And I think that the first thing that a seller needs to do is to really understand what their SDEM is, or what that seller discretionary earnings is, over the last sort of 2 or 3, 4 years of the business, because that's what a business buyer will look at. They're going to look at the historical revenues of the business. We're not typically dealing with huge enterprise value type businesses that use a discounted cash flow to look at the future earnings of that business. So most of the sellers we work with are really focused on that SDEM type valuation model. And to get that right it really obviously takes that understanding of what should be included in that, to move forward.
These are really based on the historical revenues of the business, and therefore getting the accounts in place is absolutely key. So if you're a business owner that's thinking of selling the business, it's probably good or best sort of practice to have 2 or even 3 years of historical accounts. Is that what you would say, Nick?
I would say 100%. You need to have those audited accounts in place, because really that's the first conversation that a buyer, or first request a buyer would ask for, is to say, are your accounts audited? Are you able to share those high-level P&Ls, high-level balance sheets with us in order to obviously review that? And I think if a business is obviously in an incline rather than a decline as well, that is of course the best time to sell the business. So we get approached by sellers all the time that say, hey, I'm doing a really sort of smart and clever thing, and I take a lot of cash under the table for my business and only report so much from a tax perspective. Well, that's all very well and good for your sort of day-to-day, year-to-year activities, but when it comes to selling your business, buyers will particularly frown on that and step away from it. Not only obviously is it perhaps not the right thing to do, but also if a buyer needs to get a loan or to finance any aspect of the transaction, a bank or an SBA loan in the US or other sort of markets, they're not going to take any cash into consideration. So everything really needs to be audited in order for a buyer to come in and really assess, the quality of that business.
That's a really, really excellent point, and one that I'm going to finish on today, which is you cannot raise money from a bank to buy a business on unaudited cash. It has to be in the books. It has to be in the accounts. And in terms of valuation, you mentioned ValueRight, which is a fantastic tool developed by businessesforsale.com to value a business. I will drop a link to ValueRight in the description below on this chat. Nick, thank you again. Some really good insights, and I hope you have a very good week.
Thank you, Marcus. Take care.
Bye, Nick.